Earlier today, Dignitana presented on Stockholm Corporate Finance Life Science event, and I have with me CEO William Cronin. How are you?
I'm well, Martin. How are you? Good afternoon.
I'm really well. Now, let me hear about your key takeaways from your presentation earlier today.
Sure, super. It's always a pleasure for us to present to the SCF Life Sciences Day. Today, the main points that we were trying to make is that through 2 years of a very difficult operating environment due to the pandemic, we've been able to continue growing our revenues, and also with a very favorable reimbursement ruling received later in 2021, plus what appears to be a dramatic lessening of the pandemic's effects on the trading environment right now. We have a couple of really good backwinds to help the company really move forward much faster. Again, we've been able to continue to grow our revenues through the pandemic, even though it really dramatically changed the way we had to do our business. And now, again, with the reimbursement rulings and the pandemic really receding into the background, we can get back to business and really move this company forward a lot faster.
Now looking back at 2021, what would you say are important milestones that you achieved, and how did you achieve them?
Sure. The milestones that we achieved were, again, year-over-year revenue growth. But the biggest milestones achieved were the rate assignment we received from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Studies. Originally, back in June, they had given us a rate assignment, a very, very low rate assignment per treatment or per patient fee for scalp cooling. We went through a very lengthy appeals process with CMS that required us to present to a number of industry panels. And interestingly, and of note, we did this in conjunction with Paxman. So this was very much an industry effort where collaboratively we worked with our marketplace competitor, though, and we were able to successfully obtain a 53 times increase in the original rate assignment up to the $1,850.50, which became effective on January 1. So that was really the biggest achievement and development for the scalp cooling market and Dignitana in 2021, Martin.
Now, you mentioned COVID and how you navigated through this and were able to achieve increasing revenue, even though there was a pandemic disturbing the supply chains and the travel restrictions and whatnot. What would you say were the main issues for Dignitana during this period? Was it the supply chains or just the general sentiment of a pandemic hitting the world?
Well, it wasn't necessarily the supply chains. What the real issues that we had to overcome were our traditional customer acquisition model was very heavily reliant on in-person industry events. So, we were attending roughly 15 events globally that had a very strong oncologist and infusion nurse attendee group. And we generated a lot of leads and customer relationships that way. And obviously, those went away 2 years ago. And then each of the facilities, we are in the healthcare business, and obviously each of our site partners is a healthcare provider, put some really restrictive conditions on entrance to the facility. So minus the in-person events and minus the ability for our sales and support teams to even gain access to the facilities for roughly 2 years, we had to come up with some really creative ways to, again, keep our pipeline of prospects and new accounts operating, and also to be able to support both our existing sites and new sites that came on during the pandemic. So the utilization of electronic communications tools became a really important component of again, being able to continue to grow our revenue stream. And interestingly, Martin, some of these enhancements that we came up with during the pandemic that, basically everyone had to arrive at to continue to operate, we'll use going forward, even as the pandemic recedes. We think these are means that will create much more efficient ways to keep in touch with our customers and allow our really good staff here to even be more efficient.
Now, would you say that you can see the light at the end of this pandemic tunnel? Are you back to the levels to the pre-pandemic levels, or are you still feeling the after effects?
There's still some of the after effects that are around. Remember just in January, the numbers for COVID were soaring, right? And 2 months later, they're just bottoming like crazy. So there is still a cautious optimism in the healthcare community. So they have not swung open their doors wide yet to welcome any and all back in. There is still an element of risk and concern. People really want to ensure that this significant issue is well past before we can return to a standardized operating procedure.
I see. Now looking forward a bit, what's your focus during this year, during 2022? What do you want to achieve?
What we want to achieve again is much higher top line expansion. It's been I think a really tremendous accomplishment for our team to be able to continue to post year over year revenue gains, especially again through this really difficult trading environment. But as the pandemic lessens, as we return to a more normalized business operating state, and with the tailwinds of the insurance reimbursement rulings and the general momentum and increased awareness for scalp pooling, we really look for significant improvements in our top and bottom line performances this year, Martin.
William Cronin, thank you so much for lending us your time, and good luck during this year.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate the time.